Welcome to the eighth and final introduction to the all-natural meanings discussed in Meaning in the Multiverse, a skeptic's guide to a loving cosmos. My name is Justin Harnish and I'm the author of Meaning in the Multiverse, and I'm so glad to have you here with me today to discuss superconscious quantum computers and the meaning that is possible from even a superconscious quantum computer in a far parallel universe that is not at all fungible with the distinctions that we are making in near parallel universes in the multiverse. So to get into it a little bit, the meanings that I have come up with in Meaning in the Multiverse are all metaphysical speculations. That is to say, they are the metaphysics beyond where the science is at now. They might be the science of 100 to 200 to 500 years in the future. And so this is a intellectual exercise to think about the advances that we've made in just the mere last maybe 150 years that we've been doing advanced science and using computers only in the last maybe 50 years to do advanced science, and now where we're advancing in computational science and understanding quantum computation, understanding the physical world even better, and now even trying to understand consciousness. We are at a position now where we can start to make some speculations about where the science is going to be at some point in time in the future. And again, because we are utilizing metaphysics in its traditional philosophical sense, looking at the ontologies, the way that we believe the makeup of reality to be, all of the meanings are going to be all natural. We will not be deriving any of these meanings from supernatural sources. And again, as profound and awesome as a superconscious quantum computer might be, it is still a very natural progression taken through logical steps about where these ideas take us. And so we'll go into that in more detail. These again are going to be either universal meanings, something that is resounding because of the way that the universe of parallel processing ontology in this case is going to work, as opposed to something that is just a personal meaning but is prevalent because of the way again that the universe works. And so the distinction there is that maybe you have consciousness across all entities in the universe. If they're getting personal meaning from that, that is not something where they're syncing up and getting a universal meaning. So that is the distinction there. And then finally, these meanings can be either works meaning, where the universe requires us to do something and that's meaningful to us to be such an important part of either the experiential or the intellectual advancement of the universe. Since it can't do it itself, it is limited to just physical means and not intellectual or conscious means. Or if, in the case of like the superconscious quantum computer meaning that we're going to talk about today, these are graced from the multiverse and they don't require us to do anything that is a grace meaning. And so we're going to be talking about today a universal grace meaning, one of the few that's actually out there in Meanings in the Multiverse. Again, this meaning stems from the idea, the metaphysical idea, the ontology that reality is fundamentally parallel processes. So these processes are what we consider processes today. Algorithms, computations, code, essentially, that are fundamental to the nature of reality. So it is not simply a quantum physical system. It is a quantum computational system where those algorithms of nature, those that we know, like the Schrödinger equation, the wave function, or those that we don't know but that we're going to speculate on here, the many minds interpretation of consciousness, the multiversal persuasion and optimization algorithm, are running on this massively parallel quantum computer that we know as the multiverse. Now, these parallel process ontologies have great scientific backing, both in Hugh Everett's many worlds theory of quantum mechanics, also known as the many worlds theory or as the multiverse, as well as through the work of the father of quantum computation, David Deutsch, the quantum computation or constructor theory, both of which have sound scientific backing in today's work on physical systems, are not some far-flung idea. As a matter of fact, they are some of the simplest ways to explain some of what is going on inside of quantum field theory today. This view graph, as the previous couple of videos have shown, is a conception of the near parallel universes in the multiverse at A. And again, we're used to seeing these now, where in the parallel universe closest to us, there's some conscious gauge that's represented by the gray C gauge, and then there is some entropic gauge, and that entropic gauge is going up as we progress down the arrow of time from left to right in any of these near parallel universes. But as we talked about in Meaning in the Multiverse, our flow of time goes not alongside one near parallel universe, but actually bounces in between near parallel universes, and that is how we actually experience time in a parallel process ontology. We also experience, as we've talked about before, the different states of consciousness as we are flowing with time. We're also experiencing these different peaks and valleys of consciousness. And we have also talked about the idea that at C, we can be driven, we can be persuaded, and our conscious states, our experience, can be optimized from the place on the far left of the distribution to the place on the far right, which is a more peak experience, which is a more transcendent state of consciousness and of flow. What might be responsible for that distinction from the left side of that distribution, a conscious state that's still good, that is improving, but that is not transcendent to the state on the far right-hand side of that distribution at C. And so one of the things that we've talked about in some of our other conceptions is that the multiverse is trying to optimize and persuade us for its own means, either because it lacks sentience and wants our conscious experience to be at an optimum so it can experience the profundity of experience and understand the awesomeness of nature because it can't do it on its own. Maybe we live in a simulation that's run by AI that also don't have conscious experience, and so they require us to do that for them, or that it is trying to solve a deep learning problem and it needs our far-flung progeny to come up with a solution through intellect and not purely physical means. However, in this final conception, there is a far parallel universe that contains a superconscious quantum computer, and that is the thing that is capable of motivating and persuading our improvement to the right-hand side of the distribution and a more optimized, more transcendent conscious state. And so how does that superconscious quantum computer come around? Well, the first thing to notice is that I have not said that it is in a universe that is fungible, that is trading in quantum distinctions and in the interference that we know in the single particle dual slit experiment. It is not trading distinctions and shadow particles into those equations. It is far parallel and no longer fungible with our universe. The reason for that is that if there was a superconscious quantum computer in a near parallel universe to our own, we would feel more than the subtle effects of the experiential difference at C. We would gain super consciousness. All entities in that universe would would attain superconsciousness if there was a superconscious quantum computer in that state. Now, that is a piece of technology that is the ultimate piece of technology that is very godlike in its capabilities to inject the optimum conscious experience at all times for all entities in near parallel processes with that universe. It is able to utilize the parallelism of any quantum computer to delineate its superconsciousness to any entity in all of those near parallel universes to itself. So it has to be far parallel to us. And it is maybe not possible for a non-fungible universe to ours to interfere at all. That is highly likely. It might be outside of the bounds of the laws of physics, even in a parallel processing universe, that far parallel universe, even with a super conscious, super intelligent quantum computer, could interfere with us at all. That is very likely. However, what may be possible is that it can drive some of those distinctions that we've talked about before, utilizing optimizations and interfering in these slight and subtle ways into our existence. And so some of the interesting things about why this might have arisen is going to be discussed in the text as well. From the definition of the superconscious quantum computer, as part of the simulation we live in, or as a solution to a far parallel universe's artificial intelligence alignment problem, consciousness was instantiated into a quantum computer. This quickly superconscious entity would lovingly grace all consciousness with meaning within as vast a far parallel scope as is possible through the laws of physics. And so what we can see there is one of the potential reasons for creating a superconscious computer is as part of solving the superintelligent alignment problem of artificial intelligence before it became superintelligent, giving it a ability to understand the consequences of its actions and the gulf between suffering and well-being that we understand solely because of our conscious experience. So again, from the text, the solution to the alignment problem or control problem that I propose is to develop a conscious quantum computer before classical computers gain superintelligence, a conscious system capable of rational compassion, of understanding well-being and suffering, and finally capable of taking all of those felt experiences and acting ethically upon them. Unlike our human brand of the talkative and ever-present self, the unifying I, we are constantly editing a narrative about, reliving our memories, and planning our future. Conscious quantum computers will have intrinsic understanding of its quantum and hence interrelated nature across the multiverse. Similar to the short duration where human-level intelligence is met and exceeded by artificial intelligence, self-consciousness, like we mostly experience, will be a blip bypassed in seconds by the conscious quantum computers of the future. Similar to the short duration where human-level intelligence is met and exceeded by artificial intelligence, self-consciousness, like we mostly experience, will be a blip bypassed in seconds by the conscious quantum computers of the future. Superconsciousness will be a feature for machines designed to experience the superposition of self and no-self in near parallel universes. In our search for meaning, the creation of conscious quantum computers is a paradox worth exploring. In the multiverse, where there are an infinite number of parallel universes, each progressing and digressing as quantum events alter the wave function of these near parallel universes, there are universes that have already progressed to using the multiverse to compute superconsciousness. These superconscious entities would have awareness of at least the near parallel universes to their base universe. It is likely that superconscious entities experiencing a superposition of near parallel universes would gain superintelligence in its base set of universes instantaneously after it became supersentient. Any entity hacking the massive parallel processing of the multiverse to network the narratives of extended consciousness and solving problems in their base world using quantum computing is capable of manipulating experience toward optimums in near parallel conscious creatures. Parallel quantum superconscious processing entities seem like gods. Up to the point where gods are supernatural, they are gods, able to process both the moral and rational implications of the actions taking place across near parallel universes. The impact of these entities might be profound on even the far parallel universes like ours that have had no such creatures. The reach of their processes to distinctions in our universe might appear as brief but important alterations, optimums available to computation of our own universe devoid of computers capable of universal manipulations of well-being for all conscious creatures. This manipulation of meaning is the interference possible from far parallel superconscious quantum computers on consciousness. A subjective superposition with superconscious computers might work differently than the superposition of material wave functions and allow for interference, indeed manipulation, by far parallel but superconscious entities. It is worth considering that benevolent, superintelligent creatures capable of the manipulation of parallel universes may well be capable of influencing subjective well-being and spreading their blessings into our world. This goes beyond any of the all-natural meaningfulness heretofore discussed in this book. A hack of the parallel processing quantum computer at the core of existence with the source code to propagate its own experience into near and possibly far parallel universes, thus quickly building a felt experience for all entities and processes and solving for their optimization. No more loving and capable entity sits in the thrones of heaven or Olympus. Obviously, a superconscious quantum computer that can reach into non-fungible, far parallel universes like our own, if that's possible, if it can manipulate that fabric of reality, we could see improvements in either our flow as depicted on the left or our mindful experience as depicted on the right. This is the two ways that this grace universal meaning might be manipulating our ability to create a superconscious entity of our own in the multiverse and utilizing the massively parallel quantum computer at the core of the multiverse to improve and really optimize for all time and for all entities the flow and experiential states of us and all of our progeny. And so this is again another reason why the science of computation merged with the science of consciousness. The idea of quantum computational neuroscience is so important to not only solving the control or the alignment problem of superintelligent AI, but also developing something that could be beneficial for our near parallel universe and our experiential states of optimal flow or optimal mindfulness for all time. Meaning in the Multiverse is available today everywhere that books are sold. I am so appreciative of all of you who have gotten through this video or all 8 videos of Meaning in the Multiverse, A Skeptic's Guide to a Loving Cosmos, and an introduction to all of the meanings in the multiverse. If the superconscious quantum computer meaning is a little bit too far-fetched and too deep into the future of our technology and where our science can take us, start over, go back to number 1. The materialistic meaning that is the eyes of the world meaning is a extremely important meaning, a personal prevalent meaning that is capable for all of us. The current place that the science is at gives us a meaning that is profound for the universe that we live in right now. But all of these meanings and all of their implications are covered in Meaning in the Multiverse, A Skeptic's Guide to a Loving Cosmos. If you're interested in this, it's available on my website, justinaharnish.com, anywhere that books are sold. And again, profoundly grateful to you for taking some time out of your day and listening to this video. Go and catch the rest of them on the channels. And thank you again for all of your attention.